Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. So in today's video, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful design of a wrap dress that has a high-low design flares. If that's what you want to watch, then keep watching to the very end. Firstly, you're going to be needing your basic bodice front in full. My neckline is on the basic. Okay, I'm going to be using my ruler to indicate the center, because that is very important that you indicate where the center is. And this is what my basic bodice look like. So now I'm going to be removing 1 inches away from my basic shoulder, and I'll be using the ruler to slant the line up until this point of the dart. So this is what I am doing right now. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon so you'll be one of the very first persons to know when I post new tutorials like this. So now that I've done this, we're going to be contouring the neckline. The reason why we are contouring this neckline is because if you do not contour, that very overlapping effect is going to gap, and you don't want that. So in order not to create that gapping effect when you put on this dress, in order not to have it gap, we're going to be contouring the neckline area like so. So I marked a line from this very point of my neckline to the bust point, and I drew in my bust arc, and on top of the bust arc, I'm going ahead to impute my dart intake. Okay, I was marking it this side, but sorry, please, you have to put it towards this side. It is when you're marking on this other side that you have to impute it on this side. I hope you understand. So then I'm going ahead to draw it in like so. And now this is my dart. I'll be using a marker to dot the very dart so you guys will see where the dart is and where the dart is not. So this is the contour dart for the neckline, and this is my waist dart. Now if you notice, I did not impute my, what is it called, my side bust dart, but I'm going to be doing that. Please, I actually forgot. I'm going to be doing that. Okay, I'm going ahead to impute my side bust dart right now, and that is what I'm marking in like so. And with my ruler, I'm going ahead to take it all the way to the bust point like so. So you want to watch every procedure of this dress carefully, because every step is important to give you that perfect fit and look. Now these are all the darts that we have. So we'll go ahead now to start closing them up. Firstly, I'm going to be opening my waist dart. I will cut out the excess of the dart intake of the waist dart and leave it open. So the rest of the darts, I'm going to be opening them and closing them while transferring the dart excess into the waist dart, just like I'm doing now for the contoured neckline dart. I've closed it up and I've transferred the dart to the waistline. I'm also going to be closing up my side bust dart. I'm also transferring the excess to the waist. As you can see, obviously the waist dart has gotten bigger than it was previously. So we are going to be truing this very part. The reason why we are truing it is so that we can close up those hollows when we kind of manipulated the dart. So this is what it looks like, and I'm using my scissors to cut off the excesses like so. So at this point, this is what we have right now. I'm using my cello tape to hold everything in place so they do not move about. You want to hold everything in place so you don't get any part of your pattern missing. Now, if you watch closely, the picture or the thumbnail that we are trying to recreate has drapes at the very part where the overlapping effect is at the waistline, where the rope was tied. So to get that drape effect, that is what we are doing now. I'm going to be drawing 2 style lines like so, and I'm going to be cutting them open, thereby transferring this whole dart excesses that is at the waistline to the style lines so that we can create those drape effects. All right, I'm going to be closing this up now like so. So now I've closed it up, and this is what we have. I'm going to be opening this up or transferring this to a fresh pattern paper so we can, work on it proper. So I've transferred it to a fresh pattern paper, and I'm going to be using my tape to hold it down like so. I'll be using my tape to hold this down like so right now. And after I've held it down with my tape, you want to do what to close it up. What I mean by closing it up is to bring it back to its original state before you cut off the excess patterns or the excess paper around it. Do what to bring it back to its original state like so. Then you're free now to cut off the excesses. If you do not do this, you're probably going to be cutting off the part where you're not supposed to cut off. So please do what to close it back before cutting out the excess papers around it. So this is exactly what I have done now. And yeah, this is what the front pattern should look like. And do not forget, you're going to be cutting two pieces of this because one is going to be overlapping the other. So you're going to be cutting two pieces of this, and we'll set this aside. Now for the lower part of the front, which is actually a bit technical, you're going to be extending your bust about measurement, which is where you took the dart. I just hope you guys understand. This very line where you marked the ½ inch of the dart on both sides from, you're going to be extending it to the hem. The reason why we are doing this is we want to create an A-line effect. If you watch the picture at the top of the screen, you find out that it is not a fitted gown. So we are trying to create that A-line effect. Having extended that line to the hemline, I went ahead to cut open my dart. And now I'm going to be cutting open that dart so that we can transfer the dart excess to the style line. Okay. At this point, we're going to be closing it up. So we can transfer the dart excess to the style line, thereby creating an A-line effect. You're going to be seeing that right now. So this is what I'm doing now. I've closed up the dart. As you can see, the hemline has been opened up to create that A-line effect. And after sealing this, after closing up my dart with my sellotape, I'll go ahead and transfer this pattern to a fresh pattern paper so that we can clearly see what we are working on. Okay, so I'm going to need to transfer it to a fresh pattern paper, and I've cut out the excesses. Now from this very point, I'm going to be marking or drawing a curve line to this point. I actually measured from my hemline upwards 5 inches, and it's from this 5-inch mark that I'm trying to curve in to this part of the dart where we closed. All right, 5 inches from your hemline upwards, you're going to be connecting it with a curved line to this very part of the dart. Remember, it also aligns with what we did for the overlap of the front. We stopped it at the dart. So for here also, we are stopping it at the dart. So I've marked the first line. Now remember that this has a flare or a flounce, flare rather, around that curved line. So for the flare now, we're going to be joining this very part like so. Please watch carefully what I am doing to the very hemline like so. So I marked from this very point of the dart 4 inches downwards. And from that 4 inches downwards, I connected it to my hemline. So this part is where we are slashing and spreading to form the flare, all right, for the front. So we're going to be slashing and spreading that part to form the flare for the front. And we are going to be doing that in this video also. So I'll go ahead and set this aside. For the back, same thing we did to the front. I'm going to be extending the bust apart line all the way to the hem. Now you want to know that this is a high-low gown. The back is high and the back is lower and the front is high, meaning the back is longer than the front. So your back skirt pattern should be longer than that of your front. Now the sides have to, be in alignment. I'm going to be showing you how to do that right now. So we're trying to create the A-line effect for the skirt. Same thing we did to the front. We open up the dart and transfer the dart excess to the style line. At this point, my ring light was kind of misbehaving. I think it's tired for the day, but not to worry. We're using it that way. So I'm closing up like so. Now getting back to the front, we're going to be using the front to make sure that the back aligns, especially for the side only, because the middle part of it or the other sides are lower, which the front is high. Only the sides are in alignment. So I'm cutting this off. So this is what we need for the front. Like this is what we need for the front. I'm going ahead now to right flare. This is the part we are slashing and spreading. Remember, we're cutting this in two pieces. So this is the whole of the front. Now I'm getting the back. Place this side by side, please. Your side front and your side back skirt. Place it side by side. And then you through it like so, bringing the front close to the back. Then using your marker, your pen, whatever, you want to mark the notches like so, and here also like so, meaning this is where the length of the back side should stop, and we want the middle to be lower. Okay, like we want the middle of the back to drop down. It's going to be longer than the front. So what are we going to do? From that very point, I'm going back to through it again like so. So from that very point now, I'm going ahead to do this like so. Can you guys see that? I'm going ahead to do this like so right now. And with my scissors, I'll go ahead to cut. Be careful the way you're bringing this down so you do not have a V shape by the time you cut on fold or you cut it in two pieces. Just make sure that that very center back is straight, so when you cut it out, it's going to give you a well-rounded shape. So this is what our back should look like. And for the flare part, the very first dot we marked, okay, I'm throwing it again. This very first dot is going to be the beginning of the flare, like where the joining is going to start. So I needed to add fresh pattern paper because of those holes, so I do not lose any of my patterns. I've added fresh pattern papers to cover up those holes so I don't lose any of my patterns. And I'm trying to treat to make sure it's in line. So after I'm okay and I've made sure it's in line, I'll use my ruler to rule out a straight line like so from that very point. And that whole part is going to be the flare for the back. This is where we're going to be slashing and spreading for the back. Okay. So that by the time we are sewing and we are joining it the side of the front and back, we are going to be having the sides in alignment, whereas the center of the back and the rest of the sides of the back are going to be dropping down. So for the upper back bodies, which is very simple, we are going to be removing 1 inch, same thing like we did for the front. To make sure that the shoulders align while we are sewing, we're going to be removing 1 inch from the shoulder of the back, just like we did for the front. And I kind of brought down my neckline a little bit, just a little, because it was actually the basic. And then we are cutting the dart open because you're going to be sewing up this dart on your fabric. So on the paper, you have to cut it open so you're able to use your chalk or whatever to draw out these darts on your fabric. Now I'm going ahead now to remove the part where we are going to slash and spread from the actual pattern like so. And do not forget, we are cutting this very pattern in two pieces. We are cutting two pieces of this, two pieces of the actual skirt, two pieces of the slash and spreaded. I'm writing it here so you guys, you don't get confused. Two pieces of this also. Remember, one is going to be overlapping the other. So you're going to be cutting two pieces of it like so. I'm going ahead to slash and spread this very particular pattern. It's very simple, the normal slash and spread that we do to add fullness for a flare. Okay, so you slash and spread according to the number of fabrics you have, but make sure that it's something that will be obvious that you've slashed and spreaded. So I'm going ahead now to slash and spread so we can form or get that flare effect, right, that we're seeing on the one on top of the screen. I've slashed it and I'm going ahead to spread it on a fresh pattern paper. I'm spreading it out now on a fresh pattern paper. This is me cutting it out after I'm okay with the spread that I have. As you can see, it has formed a circle. Definitely it's going to give a flare when you sew it onto the actual pattern where we derived this from. So this is what it looks like, okay? And this is the very part where we are going to be sewing it onto it. Can you see, just with a paper, it's already forming that flare effect. So when you sew it on your fabric, it's going to come out very nice and beautiful. Also, we are going to be slashing and spreading that of the back so we can complete this pattern. right? We're also going to be slashing and spreading that of the back so we can complete the pattern. Then I'm going to be detaching this part like so. So this is your center back. You're going to be cutting the center back in two because your zipper is going to be there. If you are using a zipper, if you don't want to use a zipper, that means yours is going to be like a wrap dress. But if it's not a wrap dress, you have to use a zipper. So this is the slash and spread for the back. And here is all the pattern for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Bye.